Manipur has never been normal, and if Manipur was normal, then people would be traveling from the hills to the valley, and from valley to the hills, and or through the valley and through the hills. That is not happening. And if the center imposes the president's rule, then of course the responsibility would be with the center, and the accountability will be sought from the central government. And everybody knows that there is a very sensitive political issue with respect to the demands of both communities. So the only alternative which people have been asking is that there should be president's rule in the state. And president's rule shall mean accountability on the part of the prime minister and home minister. And I don't think both the prime minister and the home minister are ready at this point of time to take the metal off. So that's why I think at this point of time, if you look at it, the security forces are deployed there, but they can't use the sovereign power which they have as the forces of the Union of India. It's a vicious cycle. There is no way you can break it out unless somebody is willing to take the responsibility, and that somebody has to be Union of India. I mean, it cannot be anyone from the state administration. Even if you put a cookie chief minister, it will not be successful. I think people in New Delhi, I mean, at different point of time, they initially think situations in the northeast are very easy, and which they are, till nothing goes wrong. Then once they become very complicated, then of course they become very, hesitant. And the inaction of the central government or unwillingness to impose president's rule, I think it's very unfortunate. Well, I think future of Biren Singh is over. It's finished. Whether president's rule is imposed or president rule is not imposed, it is not something impossible.
Are you saying that the solution lies in changing the governor, in changing the CM, in overhauling the government completely, which means that Manipur needs a deep political cleansing in a way?
Absolutely.
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. Now let's talk about Manipur today. Manipur has descended into chaos over the weekend. If you have seen violent protests erupting after 6 bodies were discovered in Jiribam district. Now anger has boiled over in the violence-hit state, but what has happened politically? Now let's take a look at that. Now, amid mounting criticism of the government's failure to restore peace, the National People's Party, that is NPP, has withdrawn its support from the BJP-led administration. And in fact, Manipur Congress President K. Sham Meghachandra, he added to the political turbulence, saying that I, along with all the Congress MLAs, am ready to resign as an MLA if the people of Manipur want to bring a new mandate to bring peace in Manipur. Now, N. Biren Singh, who's the chief minister, he also tried to call a meeting, but about 25 MLAs gave that meeting a miss and they did not attend the meeting. So there is a political chaos, and socially, and at the social level as well, the situation seems to be chaotic. Now, why is it so? And why is there a fresh round of violence, which again, N. Biren Singh has not been able to control? Joining me now is Suhas Chakma, who is the director of the Rights and Risks Analysis Group. And let me just tell you about Suhas Chakma. He belongs to the indigenous Chakma community in India and has been engaged in advocacy on standard settling at national and international level as well. Thank you so much, Suhas Chakma, for joining on HW News. It's wonderful to have you on the program. And the first question, that politically, what's really happening? And I'm going to start politically first, because the NPP MLAs, they have withdrawn support. Then you have Congress MLAs who are ready to offer their resignation, saying that if a fresh mandate can restore peace in Manipur. What is really happening politically as far as the chief minister is concerned? Does he look like a man who has lost the grip completely of the state?
I think Biren Singh did not have the grip over the situation from the beginning itself, and they had lost the grip immediately after the riots started on 3rd of May. And the moment I think the center decided that Manipur would be administered separately, with the state government taking care of the law and order situation in the valley and the central security forces taking care of the law and order situation in the hills, they had in a way institutionalized the separate administration for both the communities. Now, once you have created that particular separation administratively through law enforcement, there is no going back. And if you look at the situation, I think from the time the Home Minister had visited on 29th May last year till today, if we are to look at it, I don't think the central government, or for that matter, the state government, they have been in control of any of the situation. Just that people believe that whenever there are no killings, there is some little respite, then the normalcy has returned back, and Manipur is limping back into normal situation. Manipur has never been normal, and if Manipur was normal, then people would be traveling from the hills to the valley, and from the valley to the hills, and or through the valley and through the hills. That is not happening. So if that doesn't happen, it basically means that I mean, the situation remains or had always been volatile, so they have not been, politically speaking, in control of the situation. Uh, they do not realize one particular fact. That fact is, across Northeast, you had this kind of riots from 1990s onward. But nowhere in the Northeast, the law enforcement has been separate. And because people live into separate regions, well in the hills, and you have created this separate administration, there is no way you can, I mean, the genie is out of the bottle. You can't put it back.
No, but Suhas, given the fact that Congress is ready to offer its resignation, they are talking about a fresh mandate for Manipur. Then you have NPP MLAs who have withdrawn support. Now, does this situation, and I'm talking about this particular political situation, that does it put pressure on the Biren Singh government? How will it react? And given the fact that Amit Shah was supposed to be traveling to Maharashtra, he cut short his visit, then obviously something must have disturbed Amit Shah and probably the central government. So, but what is going to be the impact, and does it really change the situation for the BJP in Manipur in any way?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Actually, frankly speaking, from day one, the situation for the central government, I have always been taking this particular position that, if Biren Singh goes and if you bring somebody else, the situation is not going to improve. And if the center imposes the president's rule, then of course the responsibility would be with the center, and the accountability will be sought from the central government. And everybody knows that there is a very sensitive political issue with respect to the demands of both communities, with respect to the demands of the Meiteis that they should be given scheduled tribe status, and the demands of the Kukis that they should be given more powerful administrative arrangement. So these things cannot be actually in any manner be acceded to by the central government. So that's why I think, apart from all other things, it doesn't change the situation. The only issue is, I mean, can you sustain in this manner? So that's why I think Biren Singh, in terms of some pressure from the political leadership, I mean, I would say that it makes no difference to the BJP leadership at this point of time, because there is no one who wants to take this responsibility. Because the moment you take the responsibility, then of course the question will be asked: are you doing something? You cannot do something simply because, if you look at Manipur today, what's the biggest crisis? The biggest crisis in Manipur today is the lack of power among the security forces. So security forces are not there to restore even the law and order situation. Because if you restore the law and order situation, sometimes you have to take measures which may not be appreciated by everybody. So they are in a situation where they are just maintaining the peace, trying to maintain peace without improving the law and order situation, then we have it here. So that's why I think it will not make any difference to Biren Singh.
No, but the point is, $1 million question is that it's almost 18 months now. Lakhs and lakhs of people have been displaced in a state, and you have a central government which is just not ready to take a call on changing the chief minister. Now, what I want to understand from you, since you're looking at the situation in Manipur very very closely, why is Biren Singh so indispensable for BJP? I mean, why can't BJP think of its own benefit and remove N. Biren Singh if it changes the situation for the better?
No, I would put it this way. I don't think at this point of time, after 1.5 years, Biren Singh is indispensable. Biren Singh is not indispensable. Now, the key issue would be there are only two possibilities. You cannot replace Biren Singh with another uh, chief minister from his party or any other party, because the situation will still be the same, because the ethnic divisions remains very clear. So the only alternative which people have been asking is that there should be president's rule in the state. And president's rule shall mean accountability on the part of the prime minister and home minister. And I don't think both the prime minister and the home minister are ready at this point of time to take the mantle of governing Manipur directly, because then the acquisitions or the dissatisfaction which is with Biren Singh will actually be up on the central government, and the dynamics could change immediately from ethnic riots, little bit of insurgency, to it can turn into full blown insurgency. So there are implications. So that's why I think he is indispensable now at this point in time, because there is nobody who is willing to take the responsibility.
How do you look at the security situation? Because politically, it seems that BJP cannot find a replacement for N. Biren Singh, because had they wanted to change him, they would have changed him long time back. But as far as the security situation is concerned, as far as the problems of the people are concerned, today also Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge has written a letter to the President of India saying that, asking for her intervention, that people are losing their jobs, schools are shut down, and the situation looks very grim, and the central government is just not moving. So, what do you think? How is the security situation right now, and does it really need a president's intervention currently, as what Khargeji has written?
Well, I think the situation in Manipur, the security situation in Manipur is very bad, as I said, not because there are inadequate security forces. It is because of the situation or the atmosphere which we had created. If you had looked in the beginning, when the ethnic clashes were taking place, at that point of time, whenever the security forces wanted to move around, they even required to take permission of the so-called civil society groups which we are manning the barricades. So you can imagine, if the security forces, who are supposed to ask questions from the civilians with respect to the law and order situation, if they themselves are being, or we are being asked to show their ID and etc., it basically meant that the central security forces, we are not in a position to even use firearms where it was needed, whether you are trying to capture some alleged militants, or to bring the situation under control. So that situation has not improved. So the only situation could be improved if you have a clear cut command responsibility, where they will be given the responsibility that you can use your powers, the sovereign powers, under the rule of law, if the situation so demands. That would require some kind of arrangement, which would mean president's rule. Because at this point of time, if you are a politician, you already know that the community is against you. So if you are a Meiteis politician who are running the state, because they hold the chief ministership, if you if your interventions by the security forces on your behalf leads to the killing of some civilians, then it's very clear that you yourself are not safe. So if you look at the burning down of the houses of the MLS, or how the MLS earlier we are actually summoned, beaten up, assaulted, and the way the chief minister's house itself, was attacked. So where is the question of security? And in fact, I would say that if it leads to the killings of more civilians while trying to bring the situation under control, it will take a different dynamics. So that's why I think at this point of time, if you look at it, the security forces are deployed there, but they can't use the sovereign power which they have as the forces of the Union of India. And because the state politicians are hesitant to allow those kind of activities. So even if you have some kind of a unified command, or if even if you have a security advisor from the Union of India, still at the end of the day, because there is a politician, chief minister sitting over you, he calls his shot, and he is aware about the implications if something goes wrong. So that's why I think it's a vicious cycle. There is no way you can break it out unless somebody is willing to take the responsibility, and that somebody has to be Union of India. I mean, it cannot be anyone from the state administration. Even if you put a cookie chief minister, it will not be successful.
Okay, so you're saying that even if you put a cookie chief minister, things won't improve. But
No.
before I understand why the center is not able to shoulder that responsibility, I want to talk to you about this fresh round of violence where the six bodies have been discovered. Jiribam was a district which was supposed to be a quiet pocket of Manipur. But all of a sudden, we've seen a fresh wave of violence over there. And time and again, after a brief lull, again the violence erupts. Now, why is this cycle of violence being witnessed by Manipur? I mean, is the center trying to put up a semblance of normalcy? And actually, it's not. And that is why this cycle of violence keeps erupting, like every 3 months or 4 months. After like few months again, we are seeing this fresh round of violence.
Well, I think we have to understand one thing, that, as I say, the situation has never been normal. But if you look at the situation between the valley and the hills, there is no movement of the communities, and you see that the areas on the borderlines, on the peripheries, are being attacked. And if you look at the attacks which took place, they took place in Jiribam. And Jiribam, you could see that it is a very minority, inhabited area, because the majority of the population in Jiribam districts are either, Bengali speaking people, or are people of other religion. They are not the Meiteis or even the Kukis or the Mars. They constitute actually very, insignificant portion of the population. But in this entire war, where you are fighting for tough wars, that this belongs to us, this belongs to that, and it's an sort of ethnic cleansing which has been taking place. So the areas remain vulnerable. The only issue I would have said that, these are not situation which you uh, could not have brought under control. I think you could have brought these situations under control, and they are not being brought under control simply because there is no political, there is no clarity or clearance from the political leadership as to what is to be done. And this violence have taken place, and if no incidents take place for a month, they will take, or they will think, people will think, and people will come in the talk shows and say that, those who raise these issues of continuing violence, that we are trying to provoke, disturb the peace, and etc. But I would say, I think, I mean, it is not possible to bring this situation unless you have a clear cut instruction to the security forces without any kind of political interference. That is
Right.
what needed. And I do not believe this is not something which cannot be brought under control. No, I mean, I do not believe in that.
Right. And you also said during the course of the interview that it's not that, there's a lack of security forces. We have enough strength. But the only thing it seems is the lack of political will to handle the Manipur situation. And coming back to that point where you said that until and unless the center tries to take up the responsibility, center tries to own up the responsibility for Manipur, things won't improve. Now, why do you think that Home Minister Amit Shah, Prime Minister Narendra Modi are, attributing such a stepmotherly treatment to Manipur as if Manipur doesn't exist for them? And willingly or unwillingly, I don't know how to put it, but they just don't want to pay attention to Manipur at all. What is the reason, and what could be the reason?
I think people in the people in New Delhi, I mean, at different point of time, they initially think situations in the northeast are very easy, and which they are, till nothing goes wrong. Then once they become very complicated, then of course they become very, hesitant. And I think one of the main reason at this point of time why the center or anybody doesn't want to take the responsibility is, I think in the beginning they thought this will lead to some kind of solution, or people will get over it over a period of time. But I think they, at this point of time, the center knows the entrenched positions. So the interlocutor which have been operating and which have been mediating between two factions of the communities, they know how hardened the positions are. And actually, if you ask me, there are no solutions, because if you give scheduled track status to the Meiteis, it's absolutely clear that the Nagas also will join as all other tribal groups. So you cannot provoke that in one sense, in one side. On the other hand, if you do not give any kind of autonomy to the cookies, then it becomes a problem. And if you give it to the cookies, then of course you have the problem of the Nagaland mm, pending over for a long period of time. And in this context, then you have the emerging situations. One is the collapse of Myanmar, because it's very easy to cross the border. And second, the threat of the NSA and IM. You either resolve our issue, otherwise we will go back to insurgency. We have to understand the fact that the talks between the Nagas and the government of India have been continuing from 25th January 1997, and we still have not found a solution. So it shows the complexity of the problem. And because the Meitei Kuki conflict has become as protracted as the Naga and the government of India talks. So that's why I think people are a bit more hesitant. Initially, the perception might have been just another ethnic riots. These are not ethnic riots which you see in mainland India, communal riots and etc. These are demands over governance, political autonomy, social status, with access to benefit, land, territories, in a situation where you have many insurgent groups and you have a failed state where it's very easy to access, the arms, ammunitions, and etc. So I think it's a very difficult situation. But even if it is difficult, at the end of the day, if you are the Union of India, you have to take hard decisions, because somebody else is not going to come up and take hard decisions. Because if you do not take hard decisions, then it will spill over to other states. Imagine
No.
if the
But Suhas, after 18 months to say that, the union government doesn't want Manipur situation to improve, would it be right to say, I mean, I really want to ask you this question, that what is the reason for Modi's and Amit Shah's helplessness? Why they look so helpless in handling Manipur? Why is Prime Minister not going to Manipur? He hasn't visited the state as of now. He just made that one statement when the woman was paraded naked. After that one statement, we've not heard Prime Minister hardly speaking on Manipur, except for I think one reference which he made inside the parliament. And after that, he's not spoken on Manipur at all.
Well, as I said, I think the center thinks that whenever, or the Prime Minister Modi or the Home Minister, whenever they speak in public on this issue, they are actually, or they are held accountable for that, and they should be held accountable for that. And the inaction of the central government or unwillingness to impose president's rule, I think it's very unfortunate. Everybody knows, including the BJP
No, but
legislators, including.
president's rule. But you were talking about the president's rule. But is president's rule going to be the answer to the Manipur problem at the moment? The kind of turmoil we are seeing.
No, I think when we talk about president's rule, it basically means that center, from the prime minister to the home minister to everybody, which will include the army chief, they are taking the responsibility. Because when you impose president's rule, then of course the army would be sent back. There will be unified command. Local police will be under. At this point of time, the armed forces are operating under the aid of the civil administration, which is the local police. So the moment president's rule is imposed, the police will have to report it. So at this point of time, I mean, so that's what I'm saying. When I say president's rule, it means the prime minister, even if they do not visit, home minister, even if he doesn't visit, it basically means it's your direct control territory. So that's why, I mean, it would make much more sense to have the president's rule than, prime minister visiting or home minister visiting and giving some lip service and coming back. I think we need to impose precedence at the end of
No,
the day.
but you are saying that president's rule is something which can be done by the center immediately. But even then, if the center is reluctant, so what does it go to show about the central government? Is it bothered about its own politics, that you have your own BJP government, and even then I mean, despite that, you are trying to get in a president's rule. So are they worried politically as to what people are going to say, or is that not
Well,
what we look at?
no,
Look at?
I think it has crossed that level where I mean, president's rule would have made some kind of political setback. But today, I think there is anonymity. When the NPP has left the government, it's a clear message that your own allies, your own partner are willing to that. Are willing to question. It's not the Congress which is to question. I mean, I'm sure, given an opportunity, large number of BJP members will also speak the same language. Maybe they are not coming out speaking in public, not to be seen challenging the leadership. But I think everybody realizes in Manipur, across the spectrum, the demand for president's rule, the demand for action against the armed groups, either side. I think it's a common refrain. It's not one political party or one community. So I would say I think the time where BJP should have felt hesitant is over. I mean, that phase is over. They stand exposed on that. And I think so. That's why I think if once the NPP has left the alliance, there's nothing left for you.
My last question to you, Suhas, is that is the time ripe now to remove N. Biren Singh? Or is Biren Singh's government really in danger? We do not know what center's move uh, really is going to be. But do you feel that the future of N. Biren Singh is really in doldrums at the moment?
Well, I think future of Biren Singh is over. It's finished. Whether president's rule is imposed or president rules is not imposed, it's over. If president's rule is imposed, it will be shortcut. If president's rule is not imposed, he will survive possibly till the remaining term of the tenure. Because if you look at the way people have attacked his house, it's a clear message that people are absolutely dissatisfied, and there is no way this situation is going to improve. If I would say, if the center wants to take the responsibility, not only Biren Singh, the entire security apparatus should be removed. A new chief minister should this a new governor should be put in. Everybody should be there. I mean, it's not something which can be dealt politically. It requires law and order approach for a period of 6 months to ensure that there are no killings from both sides. You barricade both the territories, then you start the process. It is
So
not
are
something
you saying,
impossible.
are you saying that the solution lies in changing the governor, in changing the CM, in overhauling the government completely, which means that Manipur needs a deep political cleansing in a way?
Absolutely. Why am I saying not only the chief minister? Why only the governor, chief minister, the the security advisor, the police chief, everybody you remove to send a message to both the Meiteis, Kukis, and all the people living in Manipur that we are looking at afresh. Anybody takes law into their own hands, we will be acting as per the law. If that message goes away, it's very clear. At this point of time, you could see, as I say, the approach is, if you take there will be situations where when the security forces are attacked, for example, they exercise, despite exercising constraints, it might lead to some sort of violations. Now if You are not allowed to do that. Then it becomes a problem. That's why the security forces, they are, as I say, they are like
Right.
the UN peacekeeping forces. The Indian troops are there in Lebanon. I mean, there's a contingent, including from Manipur. What are you doing there? You are just observing peace, and you have the Israelis coming and attacking, or the Hezbollah and all others are attacking. So the security forces in Manipur are effectively playing the role of the UN peacekeeping forces. That is not what they should be doing. They should
Right.
be using more force as the defense forces of the country, not some external, peacekeeping forces. So that's why I was saying that you need, an overhaul of the entire apparatus in this state.
True. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, Suhas Chakma. It was wonderful to have you on HW News. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Stay ahead with our cutting edge news app. Instantly access the latest shorts in just 1 minute and breaking news in just 50 words. Download now for a smarter, faster news experience.